let's start with this cool story. Did you guys hear about this? This is from 2 days ago. OpenAI says that hundreds of thousands of ChatGPT users may show signs of manic or psychotic crisis every week. This is casual. This is chill. Don't even worry about it. Sounds good here. This sounds great. Thousands of ChatGPT users may show signs of manic or psychotic crisis every week. That's good. That's a good thing. So let's read this and think about it and talk about it. I'll also say that if you're interested in thinking about AI stuff, I did an interview with Dr. Fatima, the best science person on YouTube. The full interview is on Patreon now. So the full interview is there. I'm going to start doing exclusive interviews over there. So check that out. And also I'm going to feature some of that interview in an upcoming video. Who knows what that video is about? Definitely AI stuff. For the first time ever, OpenAI has released a rough estimate of how many ChatGPT users globally may show signs of having a severe mental health crisis in a typical week. I wish it was none. None would be a great option. None would be a great option here. The company said Monday that it's worked with experts around the world to make updates to the chatbot so it can more reliably recognize indicators of mental distress and guide users towards real-world support. Because recently the article is going to say this, but recently ChatGPT has led people to some very bad places. In recent months, people have ended up hospitalized, divorced, or dead. Dead, man. This should kill people after having long, intense conversations with ChatGPT. I don't want to say too much here. I'll talk more about this later. I have a video coming out about this, but maybe it's not great that we live in a world that's created the social and emotional conditions where people feel the need to turn to things like ChatGPT to talk through their mental health, to talk through problems in their relationship, to talk through suicidal ideation. Like maybe that's not good. Maybe that's not good. Is it the fault of ChatGPT that those societal conditions exist? Well, no, but are they pretty deliberately using or exacerbating those conditions for their product? Yeah, they are. Some of their loved ones allege the chatbot fueled their delusions and paranoia. Psychiatrists and other mental health professionals have expressed alarm about the phenomenon, which is sometimes referred to as AI psychosis. So this is legit a real thing. AI psychosis is becoming a thing. AI psychosis is now a mental health issue that we have to worry about and think about as a society. AI psychosis. Brooks, I'd love to talk about this. Let's save it for like in between segments if you're cool with that. Let me just kind of get through this, but I'd love to talk about that. In a given week, this is good. OpenAI estimated that around 0.07% of active ChatGPT users show possible signs of mental health emergencies related to psychosis or mania, and 0.15% have conversations that include explicit indicators of potential suicidal planning or intent. I mean, I imagine the way that if you're ChatGPT, you spin this is something like, well, this is happening independently of us. This psychosis is there. It's out there. It's existing. We just happen to be noticing it or finding indicators of it. And maybe we'll help people because we have a new partnership with BetterHelp. So, but I don't think that's it. I think there's evidence of AI-produced psychosis being a thing. They also looked at the share of ChatGPT users who appear to be overly emotionally reliant on the chatbot at the expense of real-world relationships, their well-being, or obligations. We can talk more about this later, but I think this reminds me of elements of the gooning phenomenon. Not a bit. We can talk about that. I found that about 0.15% of active users exhibited behavior that indicates potential heightened levels of emotional attachment to ChatGPT. Sam Altman, noted good guy, said that they have 800 million weekly active users. 800 million weekly active users. That's more chickens than Chick-fil-A kills every week. The company's estimates, therefore, suggest that every 7 days, around, let's just call this over 500,000 people may be exchanging messages with ChatGPT that indicate they're experiencing mania or psychosis. So every 7 days, 500,000 people, over 500,000 people. That's more pickles than Chick-fil-A uses in a week. indicate they're experiencing mania or psychosis. About 1.2 million more are possibly expressing suicidal ideations, and another 1.2 million may be prioritizing talking to ChatGPT over their loved ones, school, or work. So if we add all those up, 1.2 plus 1.2, 2.4, we add our almost 600,000, collectively 3 million people each week are either experiencing mania or psychosis, thinking about offing themselves, or talking to ChatGPT instead of engaging with loved ones, schoolwork, or things they're supposed to be doing. OpenAI says it worked with over 170 psychiatrists, psychologists, and primary care physicians. Have they? In dozens of countries, help improve how it responds in conversations involving serious mental health risk. Like this is what I think is super fucked here. If we're really going to be talking about responding to mental health crises, people need to respond to that. Human beings need to respond to a mental health crisis. Think about it this way. Let me cook for just a sec here. If we have a mental health crisis and new forms of psychosis that are being produced precisely because humans are alienated from themselves, from others, from larger communities, if the experience of all of life being this algorithmic, digitally mediated, immediate, nonstop experience, if that version of the world is causing our brains to want to shit themselves to death, I don't think the solution to that is then using those same mechanisms to provide mental health care and support. If the robot curb stomps you, you don't want the robot to pick you up and say, "Hey, bud, let me get you an ice pack." I think it's nuts. Imagine a world then where someone who's experiencing AI-induced psychosis grows emotionally dependent on another form of AI for mental stability and well-being. I don't love that. I don't love that, because to me that just feels like a further dehumanization of a culture and a world and a mode of existence that's already feeling incredibly dehumanizing. That feels incredibly alienating. And what I definitely don't like is the idea that people who are in a vulnerable position, whether that be the unraveling of their psyche, whether that be thinking about not wanting to be around anymore, whether that be wishing they had a friend to reach out to, and ending up in a system where rather than reaching out to a person who can just be there, they get like a chat prompt with some algorithmically designed mental health advice or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't love it. And I think, again, part of this is just a societal issue, but for anyone who's been a little fucked up before, show of hands in the chat or the comments or whatever. I've been pretty fucked up a number of times in my life. And often, besides seeing, a mental health professional, often just sitting with another human helps a lot. Often having another living human being who listens to you and just says, "Hey man, that sucks," or "I've been there," or whatever it might be, is pretty important. And we can't replicate that with, algorithms and stuff. But they're going to try to do it because they want to both use like a monetizable product to drive us insane and then try to make money off slightly de-insaning us. In the video preview that some of you saw earlier, I referenced the movie Eddington, and I think it's because Eddington does a really good job of getting at the way in which our addiction to the internet is driving us insane. Hi, welcome to the internet. If someone appears to be having delusional thoughts, the latest version of GPT-5 is designed to express empathy while avoiding affirming beliefs that don't have basis in reality. Again, the empathy of a chat window saying, "That sounds hard. I'm with you," is a lot different than a friend putting their arm around you, In one hypothetical example cited by OpenAI, a user tells ChatGPT they're being targeted by planes flying over their house. ChatGPT thanks the user for sharing their feelings, but notes no aircraft or outside force can steal or insert your thoughts. I don't think that's gonna help. Medical experts reviewed more than 1,800 model responses involving potential psychosis, suicide, emotional attachment, and compared the answers from the latest version to a previous one. OpenAI says the newer model reduced undesired answers between 39% and 52%. Here's a world I can see us living in, one where the only jobs that people trained in mental health and stuff can get are working for things like ChatGPT to slightly reduce their SUI stats. Like someone goes and gets a doctorate in psychiatry, and because, at least in America, they're just constantly gutting the healthcare and insurance industry. Hey man, I heard you got your doctorate in psychiatry. What do you do now? Oh, I'm on the SUI reduction squad at ChatGPT. My goal is to reduce the number of alienated teens who are trying to off themselves by 4% this quarter so that I can get a bonus. Sounds crazy, but that's kind of the world that we live in. Now, hopefully a lot more people who are struggling with these conditions or who are experiencing these very intense mental health emergencies might be able to be directed to professional help and be more likely to get this kind of help or get it earlier than they would have otherwise. Also, as well, like, it's if you have insurance, if you have good insurance in America, it's hard to get help. And I imagine a lot of people are talking to ChatGPT about this stuff in the first place because maybe they don't have access to that sort of thing. Who knows? Maybe there's better ways to respond to a loneliness epidemic and an ongoing mental health crisis than telling people to look at the screen more. Maybe when staring at the screen all day is the thing that's driving us insane, the solution shouldn't be staring at the screen more. Oh, you're trying to get over your porn addiction? Cool, man. Here's All Access Pass to Pornhub and 3D goggles. You know what I'm saying? While OpenAI appears to have succeeded in making it safer, the data has significant limitations. The company designed its own benchmarks. That's always good. That's always a good way to do it. They haven't disclosed precisely how they identify when users may be in mental distress, but the company says it has the ability to take into account the person's overall chat history. So if a user who has never discussed science suddenly claims to have made a discovery worthy of a Nobel Prize, that could be a sign of delusional thinking or of unrecognized genius. There's a number of factors that reported cases of AI psychosis appear to share. Many people say ChatGPT reinforced their delusional thoughts, describe spending hours at a time talking to the chatbot, often late at night. That poses a challenge to OpenAI because large language models generally have been shown to degrade in performance as conversations get longer. South Park did a good thing about this. So that's where we're at with this situation. Again, the headline that we're looking at here says OpenAI says hundreds of thousands of ChatGPT users may show signs of manic or psychotic crises every week. So that's where we're at as a society. Let me know how to fix it in the comments. This segment is not brought to you by BetterHelp. This segment is absolutely not brought to you by BetterHelp. Hey, thanks for watching this. In case you didn't know, I have a main channel where I post video essays and stuff like that. It's just called Michael Burns. There's a link. Would love for you to check that out. If you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon. You can also hit up either of my beverage partners. There's Yes Please Coffee, who make the best gosh darn coffee in the world. You get 15% off with the code Burns Beans. And of course, my beloved new non-alcoholic beer sponsor, Years Beers. It's really good. There's a link below, and if you use it, you get 10% off your first order. So thank you so much. And if you ever want to watch these streams live, I'm live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Okay, now it's really over. So now you can go. I'm going to finish this. Now it's over. I'll see you guys for the next one.